By means of an introduction, Helga is a climate scientist and heads the Institute of Meteorology at the University of Natural Resources and Life Sciences. She was Austrian Scientist of the Year in 2005 and helped found the Center for Global Change and Sustainability in 2009, which she heads ever since. Helga, the virtual floor is yours.
Has to be activated.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Adam. Thank you also for inviting me to make these few remarks, and hello to all of you out there. I'm very pleased that this first Friendly Climate Conference has become a reality. I'm proud of all my mainly young colleagues here and internationally that have the courage to experiment and to find new ways to meet old challenges. Looking at your faces, I seem to be by far the oldest here, so I'm very glad we have this pioneer spirit among the next generation. When I was young, traveling to conferences across Europe and lo and behold, every now and then even across the Atlantic, that was really something at the time. That was one of the cherished benefits of a scientific career. You really got to travel a lot. But as time went on and the number of conferences increased, well, I started to realize that I never got to know any of the countries or cities I went to. I just know lecture halls and hotels, and they were pretty much the same all over the world. And so these trips lost much of their attraction. And with the increasing security checks on airports and the longer time delays until you really got to your flight, flights became less attractive, and overnight trains really became the thing. There's nothing like boarding a train at night, having time to read documents, prepare speeches and presentations, think the whole conference through and arrive refreshed right in the center of town with no hustle for luggage, etc. So for me, overnight travel by train has become the method to travel. But a few years ago, Sebastian started to systematically introduce telephone conferences in our project work here in Vienna. And I realized how much could be gained by them. And I don't mean the CO2 saved, although that is very important as well. I mean the time saved. Meetings even close to Vienna that would not have been able to participate due to time constraints suddenly became accessible. Instead of spending one full day for a meeting of 2 hours, often 1 hour was enough, because telephone conferences proved extremely efficient. Participants are much more precise and short on the phone than they are in the meeting room, and they only speak when they really want to contribute something. Most of this usual vanity parade is just out. That saves a lot of time. As technology evolves, and we see an example of this today, and I hope it will keep on this way throughout the week, things become more comfortable and you can even see people you're talking to, not only hear them. So these virtual conferences, I think, will become an important aspect of our scientific life. They will never replace personal meetings completely. I don't think they should. It is absolutely necessary to also meet people personally and chat with them. But it will reduce the number of these direct encounters. And I think that is a good thing to save that time and also, of course, the CO2 emissions. We must reduce our greenhouse gas emissions dramatically. And these conferences are one major way of contributing in our profession. But there are a number of additional good reasons to do this besides the climate aspect. We save energy, and fossil energy essentially, and that is a resource that is becoming scarce. We also save time, as I already mentioned, and definitely is a scarce resource to most of us. The process is also family friendly because mothers, fathers, husbands and wives and friends have more time with their loved ones. We also avoid risks because planes do crash every now and then. And these conferences are also more comfortable. In the environment of your office, you have all the data, the background information, etc. at hand. In short, CFCCs, as I would like to call them, increase the quality of life. To me, this is a simile for a whole spectrum of actions needed to combat climate change. You will find that many climate-friendly actions are also a step towards higher quality of life. Changing from your car to a bike or public transport, eating local products and less meat, buying longer lasting products are just a few examples. Changing these habits needs thinking and determination, and it might be uncomfortable at first, but with the courage to try, you often find that is well worth it, and you often wonder why you didn't take the leap earlier. We climate scientists have become accustomed to the fact that our warnings are not heeded, that in spite of reliable information, determined actions by our governments are still missing. The present COP in Warsaw will unfortunately most likely be another demonstration of this fact. One possible reason for that is, and I think we have to face this, that in line with our scientific results, we mainly produce warnings and pictures of hazards, the hazards we're heading for. And when newspapers ask us and media ask us, that is also what we focus on. But people tend to look away. It might be easier to set people in action with the promise of a better world, a world of higher quality of life, rather than just increased standard of living. That might not be the classical domain of us climate scientists, but in interdisciplinary teams, together with social scientists, psychologists, etc., we might be able to produce very useful pictures. And this also goes for what we need to do regarding these conferences. But before I finish with these considerations, one more aspect. More knowledge about our world, about climate, entails more responsibility, also for the dissemination of that knowledge to the public and decision makers. In this context, I find the verdicts against the geoscientists of the Aquila earthquake cause extremely interesting. They were not convicted for not predicting the earthquake, but essentially because they did not contradict the reassuring statements made to the public, and they did not make an effort to provide a careful evaluation of potential hazards to the public. And that, I think, is also very interesting for us climate scientists. Now, as to the conference, how can we get this idea of these CFCCs into more wide fields of reference, into the heads and the minds of our colleagues? Well, I think the first step would be to win our climate science colleagues to refrain from excessive conference tourism. It should become a matter of prestige to organize and attend CFCCs. The second step is to praise the advantages of CFCCs vis-à-vis colleagues from other scientific fields and thus spread the virus. And finally, we can also carry our message to our business partners, in every case emphasizing that they are doing it for themselves and their families. And the climate issue is a very, very important, but a side effect. I think if we address them as something where they can win quality of life, we are more likely to succeed than if we ask them to do something to protect the climate. So overall, once more, thanks to the pioneers. I will be joining the conference hopefully several times during the next few days, and possibly also demonstrated at an Austrian-wide climate meeting at the end of this week. I wish us all a successful and enjoyable meeting, and many more to follow. May this be the beginning of a new era of scientific conferences. Thank you.